All right, welcome to the show, guys. This is your host, Jack Horner, and we're going to switch it up a little bit tonight. Typically, I talk about politics and maybe some kind of darker things or some world issues, but tonight we're going to talk about movies, because I love movies. Not only do I love movies, I love the experience of going to see a good movie that makes you think and makes you feel things and puts you in the shoes of other people that you've never met before and makes you consider things that you've never considered, which is why I'm talking about the movie Minari by Lee Isaac Chung. It's getting a lot of Oscar buzz, and deservedly so. It's the semi-autobiographical tale of a family, a South Korean family that moves to Rogers, Arkansas in the 1980s, and tells the story of the family through the eyes of the child, the little boy, as his father tries, and not so successfully in parts, to start a farm that grows South Korean food. And what I wasn't expecting about this movie was how nostalgic it made me and how much I related to it. So the movie actually takes place in Rogers, Arkansas, which is smack dab in the middle of the Ozarks, and actually only 2 hours away from where I graduated high school in a town called Rogersville. So, I mean, that's kind of a weird similarity there. And the one thing that really popped out to me, and it was like the first sign that I was watching a good movie, was the performance by Will Patton. He plays this crazy guy who helps the dad out with the farm, and he does such a good job with the role, really nailing the idiosyncrasies of someone who has mental illness. He really reminded me of Kramer almost. He was sort of the comedic relief of the movie, but outside of him, that also brings me to the other shining part of the movie, which is the cast. You know, the grandmother playing, by the way, I'm not going to try to pronounce any other names because I don't want to butcher them. All the actors did such a great job. They don't deserve the disservice of me misnaming them. But the grandmother did such a fantastic job. The mother and the parents did a good job. And by the way, and everybody who was like a side character or a background character just was so fantastic. They all felt very natural. And it didn't feel like a movie so much as it felt like a memory, which is what I think when you're kind of going for that retro feel in a movie, or a movie that deals with the past, is something that you really have to nail. And this movie just does such a good job with that. I mean, Stephen Ewan playing the father, you know, specifically an Asian father who's hard, but not hard-hearted. He cares. The actress who plays the mother, who does such a good job of being a woman who feels out of place and who feels disrespected by her husband, but yet is still a good and loyal wife and still cares about keeping the family together. The grandmother, who plays kind of like your kooky, different grandma. And by the way, that's one of the main relationships in the movie, is the relationship between the grandson and the grandmother. And that brings me to my next point about the movie, was with movies like this, you want to learn. You know, I think the goal is to educate people, but not so much educate them with facts or educate them with aspects of the Korean culture or the culture that the people came from, but educate people in showing that beyond the language barrier and the cultural barrier, how similar we are, in that we're all human. And the relationship with the grandmother in that movie really reminded me of the relationship with my own grandmother, and made me very sad in parts because I lost my grandma this year. You know, and there were specific scenes in that movie that I could just remember from my own childhood. And there's a big sister and little brother in the movie, and yeah, specific scenes in that relationship that reminded me of my own big sister. You know, how the big sister spoke to her little brother is very similar to how my big sister spoke to me when I acted up. So, in conclusion, I want to say that the epiphany I had while I was watching this is that I don't want to be a movie critic. I don't want to be somebody who analyzes movies and points out their faults and where they succeed. I want to be a movie connoisseur that elevates good movies and talks about good things. I want to spread joy, just like this movie spread joy. And I loved it, you know, and honestly, I might do a second video on this because I'm going to go see it again. There's so much more I want to tap into. But have you guys seen Minari? And if so, did you like it? Did you enjoy it? What else do you have to add? Thank you for watching, guys. Have a good night. God bless. Be grateful.